Hi, I'm David from swimmingpoollearning.com. In this video, I'm going to go over my method for cleaning a green pool. And this is the method I use on all the green pool cleanups, and it's been tried and proven to be effective. The first step, of course, is to make sure that the equipment is functioning. There is a reason why the pool turned green, and you want to make sure that the equipment is working. So the pump should turn on and work properly, and the filter should be functioning. So step one, if you have a D filter or cartridge filter, is to take that filter apart and clean it and inspect the grids and the cartridges, of course. And if you have to replace some grids or cartridges, replace that during this process before you start doing the chemical treatment of the pool. And if you have a sand filter, you want to backwash that for about 2 minutes before you start this process. So the next step would be to brush the pool thoroughly. You want to brush the walls really thoroughly, and using a stainless steel brush on a plaster or Pebble Tec Pool is highly effective. I wouldn't recommend using a stainless steel brush on a vinyl or fiberglass pool. You could damage the surface, but if it's a plaster, concrete pool, or Pebble Tec pool, using a stainless steel brush really helps get that algae off the walls. And if there's any leaf debris on the surface, go ahead and skim that out. I wouldn't worry too much about the bottom of the pool. After you brush the pool, you want to decide if you want to go one or two directions. You can do the flock method, which is using aluminum sulfate to drop everything down to the bottom so you can vacuum it out. And this process is fairly easy. You just have to have a filter with a multi-port valve. So you want to add the aluminum sulfate to the pool. Follow the directions on the box or bottle to see how much you should add for your size pool. And then you want to put the pool in recirculate for 1 hour and then turn everything off for 24 or 48 hours, and everything should fall to the bottom of the pool. The problem with using flock to clean a green pool is that you have to vacuum it out to waste. And so if you don't have a portable cleanup pump or a filter with a waste mode, and the reason is very simple, you're adding about 8 to 14 pounds of flock or aluminum sulfate to the pool, and you have to vacuum all of that out, as well as all the dead algae that are brought down to the bottom of the pool. And a regular filter, cartridge filter or D filter, without a waste mode cannot handle that kind of load. And so you can't use flock unless you, again, have a filter with a waste mode where you can backwash it out and vacuum the waste. For most pools, I use the shock and awe formula, and this is raising the chlorine level to astronomical levels to get rid of the algae. And a good rule of thumb is 1 gallon of 12.5% liquid chlorine for every 1,000 gallons of water. So if you have a 10,000 gallon pool, you're going to put 10 gallons of 12.5 liquid chlorine in the pool. Equivalent to that would be 1 pound of cal hypo. So if you have a 15,000 gallon pool you're trying to turn around, you would put 15 gallons of liquid chlorine in there, or 15 pounds of shock, cal hypo, or a combination of both of these, 8 pounds of cal hypo and 7 gallons of liquid chlorine. So if you have a 20,000 gallon pool, you're going to be putting 20 pounds of shock in there, or 20 gallons of liquid chlorine in there, and that's a pretty equivalent amount with the cal hypo and a liquid chlorine. And if you're using a lower percentage of liquid chlorine or bleach from a hardware store or grocery store, you definitely want to double that. And so if you're using 6% Clorox bleach in a 20,000 gallon pool, you're going to put 40 gallons of that in there to bring it up to the level necessary to get rid of the algae. And of course, there are different levels of green pool. This is for pools that are really green and you can't see the bottom and they look pretty much like a swamp. This will be an effective amount of chlorine to add to that pool. Now you want to run the pool timer for 24 hours. And then you want to return the next day and check the chemistry of the pool. You're mainly checking to make sure the chlorine level is high still in that pool. If the chlorine level has zeroed out or is low, you want to bring that chlorine level back up. And you're shooting for about 30 parts per million on day 2 to make sure that the pool is going to hold for a few more days until you get back there again to continue the process. So again, if the pool is at 0 the next day, you want to bring that up to 30 parts per million. You won't need to add the same amount you added the first day, but you're going to have to add a significant amount of chlorine the next day sometimes to continue this process. And you may have to take the filter apart and clean it again on the second day, depending on how much algae was in the pool, or backwash the filter. And you may have to clean the filter 3 or 4 times in the green pool cleanup process. And you can definitely use an algicide to enhance this process. You can use sodium bromide, you can use the yellow trine or the yellow treat, and this is an effective way to accelerate the green pool cleanup. If you're going to use the yellow treat or yellow trine sodium bromide, the cap is 4 ounces, and I would add about 4 or 5 capfuls to the pool. Note that this will destroy or lower the chlorine level in a lot of cases, and you don't want to overdo it with the sodium bromide. And you can also use a Pool RX unit to accelerate this, and I have a separate video how to use the Pool RX in a green pool cleanup, and you can refer to that for more details on using the Pool RX during your green pool cleanup. And one last method is using a phosphate treatment to help accelerate this process, and you can add the phosphate remover directly to the skimmer. And note that adding the phosphate remover is going to raise the filter PSI, but you're going to add the dose of phosphate remover for your gallons of water based on what the instructions say, and this also will accelerate the green pool cleanup using algicide, a Pool RX, or phosphate remover. And I also have a lot of videos and podcasts on green pool cleanups, and if you follow the method I outlined here, you're going to have a very successful cleanup, and the pool will be blue before you know it. Pool Service Pro, open a Leslie's wholesale account today and receive wholesale pricing on products you use every day. Leslie's Pool Supply offers convenient locations that are open 7 days a week. Another great benefit of opening a Leslie's wholesale account is Leslie's referral program. Get referred to a customer looking for weekly pool service. Save time and money and grow your pool service route and become a Leslie's Pro.